Cross-examination. The victim's movements. All yard detectives are supposed to follow orders and investigate what they're told. I feel like we should press on everything, try and get as many details as possible.
Hold it!
The only thing I really want to latch onto right now is the stuff about smugglers. But I feel at this point we should try and grab as much as we can. So, you follow orders, do you, Gina? Nah, not me. I'm above all that, see? Oh. The boss always had special orders for me. Grab us some fish and chips, and go give Toby his grub, that kind of thing. So, errands more than orders, then. This detective is still an apprentice, after all. Yeah, well, this apprentice ain't one to sit around and wait to be told what to do, even by the boss. That's why I've been doing my own investigation as to what happened. Didn't find much at first. But a little searching in the boss's office turned up a notebook that had loads of secret meetings in it.
Hold it!
So you went through Inspector Gregson's things? Yep, as part of the independent Lestrade investigation. I'm sure your superiors would be delighted that you're taking the initiative. So I snuck into his office when no one else was about. Because if anyone at the yard had seen me going in there, they'd have turfed me straight out on the street. This is sounding less and less like an investigation and more like something else. The prosecution understands that it was this very detective who discovered the notebook. You got that right, nothing gets past Inspector Lestrade and her trusty assistant, Chief Inspector Toby. We found it hidden in the desk drawers that had a false bottom. That's impressive. So then I went to hide myself where no one could find me, so I had a butcher's at what was written in it. Because if anyone at the yard had found me, they'd have turfed me straight out on the street. I've given it in now, ain't I? If it weren't for me, it would never been found. True. According to that, the boss was looking into some smuggled goods dealings that day.
Hold it!
Yeah, this is the one that made me like, Do you have any idea where those dealings were taking place? Yep, Dover. Or somewhere around Dover. It was all there in the boss's notes. Let's see if I can remember. As I already said, the illegal dealings were due to take place at a gentleman's club. Yeah, but where did they come into the country? Yes, I remember. I was hoping to find out the name of the club. That won't be necessary. He said it! He said— oh wait, wrong series. What? It's conceivable that the club might be used again by the smugglers in future. And therefore, the prosecution has been asked not to reveal the name in these proceedings. I'm wondering if it's going to have the same name as the one, in Sherlock Holmes. I don't know what all the fuss is about. It's right here, all I've got to do is read it out. And I could too. Got this reading game buttoned up now. Oh, well done. Can't I show you what I can do? Go on, what's the harm? The judge hasn't signaled his objection yet. I could try to find out. What should I do? Insist, it may as well. This is a closed court. The proceedings are confidential. There shouldn't be any possibility of the information being leaked. As I explained, there is some possibility of politicians being involved in this affair. The prosecution is rightfully exercising caution, I imagine. No objections, though. No, my lord. The prosecution has no objection. Yeah, there you go. It's like, bloody hell. Casimir, he's helping us slightly. He wants to seek the truth as well. Again, it's similar to like Edgeworth, basically. You can see like the family resemblances along those kind of lines. Just that logic of, well, I say family resemblances. Ancestry, not in terms of blood, in terms of style. I think that's what I mean there more than anything. Whether they're blood related, don't know. Because I can't remember, but someone was telling me down below about the sword, Kuruma. Like, you just shuffle that about in the Japanese and it's like Von Karma. Karuma Karma. It's like, it's connected in that way. But who did Von Karma train? Edgeworth. So it's like, you know, the style. The style is there, the style. But, anyway, the idea of like, they're trying to seek the truth. They're on our side, as long as we're both trying to seek the truth. So, Kazuma. There's no question that Inspector Gregson was looking into these black market dealings. However, it's not yet been established that he was on that particular trail on the day in question. If the defense requires to know the club's name, the prosecution has no intention of being obstructive. Right then. I get to show off my reading skills. Good luck, Gina. Apparently the smuggled goods... Whoa. What was the name then? Okay. Apparently the smuggled goods deal was gonna happen at the gentleman's club called the Grouse. I should have just read that. Rather than complaining like, what was it? I didn't expect it to be the next statement. You know. Alright, let's get some more information about the Grouse. Oh, it looks like this is some sort of steamship ticket. The SS Grouse. First class cabin 001. Yokohama departure 11th September. London arrival 1st November. That's the boat that Professor Mikataba and Judge Jigoku came on from Japan, isn't it? Which stopped where? Yes, I think he called it Dunkirk, which is in France. On the north coast of France for a night before finally arriving in Dover. I think it's been almost a year since we arrived in Dover on the SS Burger. Seems a shame not to keep your ticket as a memento of your trip, don't you think? Yes, I agree. I have mine safely in my diary. I keep mine in my wallet, so I have it with me at all times. Oh, well, how strange. Where could it have gone? Are you like this on purpose, Mr. Naruhodo? Did I imagine it, or was that comment accompanied by a little sigh? The details of the letter of introduction have been updated in the court record. Did we not look at that before? I feel I've heard that before. So what? Huh. When did I get that? Because that could have been when I was messing around with recording over in America. I can't remember. I knew that was there. So, I don't know. Might have been something I reloaded at something. I don't know. Apparently the smuggled goods deal was gonna happen at a gentleman's club called the Grouse.
Hold it!
The Grouse? What sort of a club is that? I ain't got the foggiest. Clubs ain't exactly my thing. But I am kind of curious. They're not places where a foreign student like you would be readily admitted. Have you looked into the mirror recently? I tell you what. Me and Chief Inspector Toby could go in undercover. Could you, though? I could pick out a few good marks and see what else I could find out while I was in there. I really don't think you should go picking out anything. Anyway, that's where these black market dealings were going to take place, is it? Yeah, it's gotta be. That's what the lower-ranking detectives at the yard reckon. Says the even lower-ranking detective. Okay, so hold on. We now present the Grouse aspect. Is that yeah. It's written on the back of a ticket for a passage on the steamship, so we can present that and try and get more, maybe?
Objection!
I've read about these clubs that exist here in Great Britain. As I understand it, they're places where well-to-do gentlemen socialize with friends and colleagues. Don't imagine for a second that a foreign student like you would be admitted. Seriously, is your mirror cracked or something? Do we know for sure that the contraband dealings were definitely happening at a club called the Grouse? The police are currently looking for evidence, but haven't found anything definitive yet. And I'm sorry to say, but they probably won't. What do you mean by that? I mean, that the place Inspector Gregson was secretly going to visit on 31st of October may not have been a gentleman's club at all. You're showing a very irreverent attitude towards our country's police force there, Counsel. If it wasn't a gentleman's club, then what was it? A ship, you bloody idiots. Again, smuggling usually takes place across a border. A steamship. You think it's a ship? I have the evidence to prove it. Here. Let me see that. This dark-suited young man is not in the least bit untrustworthy. The other side, my lord. Be more specific next time. Ah, this would appear to be a ticket for passage upon a steamship, yes. The SS Grouse.
Objection!
So there's a steamship named the Grouse that happens to share a name with the club that crosses a border on the exact day he's doing an investigation? But I'm afraid to say, there's a flaw in your logic there. How? Look at the ticket. Notice the date of arrival in port. The ship arrived at the port of Dover on 1st November. Ah! The day on which the sound like a gunshot was heard on Fresno Street. In other words, on the day in question here, 31st of October, when the victim was on his clandestine mission, which he would have been to France, because we got a passport for that, that ship hadn't yet docked on British shores. That would certainly make an undercover investigation somewhat challenging.
Objection!
The fact that the steamship hadn't yet reached Britain substantiates the defense's assertion that the victim was investigating the SS Grouse on the day in question. Then show your evidence for that assertion. Passport. Very well. In that case, counsel for the defense, present your evidence to the court now. Evidence that substantiates your claim that the victim was investigating the SS Grouse on the 31st of October. Now, I need to get the passport. So would I go into this and then present it from there? Let's have a look inside. Okay. Look, and there's something inside. Oh, let's see. It appears to be a passport, authorizing him to travel overseas. Was Inspector Gregson about to go on a trip abroad then? Perhaps the date of departure might tell us something. That was... Oh! What is it? So travel on 31st of October, just one day before the incident. What? Really? Passport has been entered into the court record. There we go. I feel like we had that done as well. It's just throwing me off. Gregson went to France the day before his body was discovered. Alright, so we got that in the court record now. There we go. I'm sure I already had that in the court record. It just feels weird. I'll go look back. What's this? Passport for travel issued to the victim. Dated 31st of October. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that just one day before the inspector's body was discovered, there's a distinct possibility he wasn't even in the country. What? Oh, he's not in the country, yes. Order, order. This document is for passage to France. It does appear to have been officially authorized the day before the SS Grouse arrived at Dover. It docked on the northern coast of France for a night. According to my father, who was on board, at the port of Dunkirk. Dunkirk, France. What could possibly have taken the victim there? I'm impressed, Ryunosuke. Naruhodo. I certainly didn't expect you to get your hands on that passport. What? That means you knew. You mean you knew about this? The prosecution's strategy for this trial has been laid down by the Crown Prosecution Office. On the day before the incident, the victim was investigating contraband dealings at a London club. That's the outcome of Scotland Yard's investigations and the line the prosecution has been asked to follow. But personally, I don't agree. Oh, okay. I think the prosecutor's office is trying to hide something. What? And now that you've expertly disproven their assertion, I intend to reveal what I believe that something to be. What are you playing at, Prosecutor Sergei? A courtroom is a forum for the truth, my lord. Which is why it's my duty to present all the facts without exception. Let me guess, this was your intention from the outset, wasn't it? The reason Inspector Gregson secretly made his way to the steamship docked in France on that day in question was to carry out a mission for the Reaper. The Reaper? Order. What on earth are you saying, counsel? The prosecution made an assertion in court yesterday. Inspector Gregson was investigating the identity of the Reaper. When he discovered the location of the man's secret hideout, he was killed. As I'm sure everyone can imagine, by the Reaper's hand. But in reality, the truth is the opposite of that. What? Inspector Gregson wasn't investigating the Reaper at all. He was, in fact, acting for the Reaper. So you're saying the mission he was undertaking was, obviously, an assassination. Barak van Zykes never carried out any of the actual killings. So which of you two was he trying to kill? I'm leaning towards you, rather than you. It's just we don't know much about you and your dealings and stuff. It feels like there's a lot to uncover. Whereas you, we know quite a bit. So it's very much a case of like, Barak van Zykes never carried out any of the actual killings. Whether the Reaper's victims lost their lives, he always had a cast-iron alibi. Which tells us that he must have had an accomplice. And you claim that it was Inspector Gregson? What the hell do you think you're saying, eh? My boss would never have done nothing like that. And yet, when you consider all the facts, it all makes perfect sense. No, it can't be. We also arrived at the same conclusion, didn't we? That Inspector Gregson was operating as the Reaper. Even so, there's no way that the person giving him his orders was Lord van Zykes. No, the true Reaper is somebody else. He's sitting in the middle of the court. Barak van Zykes is not the Reaper. A predictable response from someone who's advocating for the man. But yeah, but yours is a predictable response for someone who's trying to prosecute him. Tit for tat, mate. Even if it's true that Gregson was operating as an agent of the Reaper, the suggestion that he went aboard the SS Grouse on an assassination mission doesn't follow at all. Oh, you have some solid reason for doubting the assertion, do you, counsel? Absolutely. It's very simple. On the day in question, nobody was killed aboard the steamship. I mean, this is a bloody good point. Professor Mikataba and Judge Jigoku were on that very ship. If someone had been assassinated, I'm certain we would have heard about it. Phew. What's so funny? You're right, of course. No suspicious deaths were reported on board the ship. But I think perhaps you've missed the point. That's precisely why Inspector Gregson himself lost his life. I knew you were going to go that way. What? Gregson did board the SS Grouse that night, with the intention of dispatching his mark. But his mission ended in failure. Failure? It seems that the defense hasn't yet grasped a very important detail here. What are you talking about? What detail? Inspector Gina Lestrade. What? The victim's notebook that you read an excerpt from earlier. That doesn't contain details of secret investigations at all. It describes 10 years of assassination plots to be carried out by the Reaper of the Bailey. You're lying. Even if all them bludgers what got taken out had it coming. The boss weren't the Reaper. Poor Gina. There's no question that Tobias Gregson was heavily involved in the Reaper's activities. You may just be an apprentice, but if you spent any time at Scotland Yard, you must have heard rumours. I heard nothing, and I don't believe a word of it. Then testify again, as a representative of Scotland Yard. Consider it your chance to defend your boss. I don't... I concur. The witness will give a new formal testimony. Miss Lestrade, you will tell the court everything you know about Inspector Gregson's secret notebook. Great. Witness testimony. The Reaper's notebook. Yeah, this notebook does have a load of stuff about what the Reaper got up to the past 10 years. Names of victims, dates and places and stuff. And the last entry in there was the 31st of October. It said Grouse for the place on the date, and then the name of the mark. Who's the mark? Who's the mark? Who's the mark? There was a note about him being a criminal, got away from the Reaper in court 10 years ago or something. Who? But honest, the boss didn't do none of it. He was just investigating the Reaper, that's all. Who was the mark? Who was the mark? Keep personal opinion out of your testimony, witness. We require only established fact here. This must be so hard for her. You can't deny it now, surely, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. This is the equivalent of my learned friend, isn't it? What can't I deny? The notebook contained the name of the final mark and the location where the assassination would take place. That's information that the victim could only have known if he was working with a Reaper. So, who was to be this final mark? Go ahead, Inspector Lestrade. Read the name for the court. The name that's written alongside the entry that mentions the Grouse on 31st of October. Do it! How do you read this then? Reading's still not her strong suit. That ain't the problem, alright, Odo? It's a funny name. It ain't English. It's hard to read. It's Japanese. It's with someone from overseas. Let me have a bash at it. Se-ish-iro, is it? There we go. There we go. Yeah. Seishiro. You? Maybe? This is like me trying to read Japanese, isn't it? What? It can't be. Seishiro Jigoku? But that's Judge Jigoku. Seishiro Jigoku. Certainly not an English name, you're right.
Objection!
It is an English name. Oh, no, it's not. But that can't be right. I know Judge Jigoku. I saw him the day before yesterday here in London. So I know for a fact that the man hasn't been assassinated. Yeah, again. As I said, the Reaper failed. Oh. Gregson missed his chance to kill his mark and return to British shores. But the Reaper wouldn't tolerate the mistake. So he killed the inspector. Personally. The Reaper, of course, being the accused. No, Barak van Zykes. It's clearly strung hard at this point. It's an undeniably illogical argument. Kazuma, you planned for the trial to go this way all along, didn't you?
Hold it!
Hello. He's got his chalice! And the boot! Pray forgive the discourtesy of filling my hallowed chalice whilst I stand accused of murder. Lord Van Zykes. The accused has no right to speak uninvited in court. You will return to the dock. I say nothing of whether or not I am the Reaper. That's the task of this court to decide. But there is one thing I can say unequivocally. Yes. That girl is no detective. Eh? What? That's right, I ain't. I'm an inspector. Repeating rumors heard around the yard, reading entries from a notebook of unconfirmed origin. That's not testimony, it's practically a script. No doubt the rest of this trial will go exactly as you clearly planned. Your hatred of me is understandable. In your mind, I'm sure I am the Reaper, who sent your father to the gallows all those years ago. But you're in danger of becoming a far more sinister Reaper yourself. By attempting to have me condemned with this feeble excuse for testimony. He's striking him at the right point, isn't he? What did you say? Mr. Naruhodo, this is our chance. My lord, the defense requests that the defendant be allowed to speak. He may be privy to important information relating to the testimony just given by the witness. Very well. I'll make an exception and grant the request. The defendant may remain in the witness stand for the cross-examination. Then allow me to toast the court's impartiality. Don't raise your glass in my direction, sir. Counsel for the defense, begin the cross-examination immediately. Ow. At once, my lord. Reaper's notebook. Yeah, this notebook does have a load of stuff about what the Reaper got up to in the past 10 years. Like, what? In other words, it shows that Gregson was basically acting as the Reaper. Not you and all. That ain't the only explanation, is it? He could have been investigating the Reaper in secret, and the notebook said what he found. If I may, when originally people began referring to me as the Reaper, I didn't object. I believe the power to intimidate London's criminal classes into compliance with the law to be beneficial. But you carried out your own investigations into the true identity of the Reaper, didn't you? Yes. And those investigations proved conclusively that Gregson was one arm of the Reaper. One arm? What are you on about? The Reaper's victims were all extremely shrewd criminals at the top of their game. There's simply no way one person could have taken them on alone. The Reaper is an organization. The organization? With you as its head? That's not for him to decide, that's the court's. I had spies at the yard keeping me abreast of Gregson's movements, letting me know when he was elsewhere. So I'd been able to check the most recent entry in his book. I knew the location. You knew it said Grouse. Believing it to be a reference to the Gentleman's Club, I went there on the day in question to investigate, alone. Ah, so that explains why several members of the club claimed to have seen you there. But of course, the inspector was not there, because at the time he was making his way to the steamship docked on the northern coast of France, as shown by the passport found in the victim's metal trunk. Very well then, back to your testimony about the contents of this notebook. Alright, fine. Is something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? You seemed a little shocked by something a moment ago. Oh, no, it's alright. I'm overthinking this, aren't I? No. You can't overthink in this series. Names of victims, dates and places and stuff, and the last entry in there was the 31st of October. We know about that, but it said Grouse is the place and the date, and then the name of the mark. Again, we know that. There was a note about it being a criminal what got away from the Reaper in court 10 years ago or something, and I want to know more about that. What do you mean, a criminal? Judge Jigoku is no criminal. Well, don't ask me. I don't know nothing about it. Oh, do you remember what Father told us? That Judge Jigoku did once appear in court here in Britain. It's related to the Professor case, I'm sure. Yeah. Yes, of course. You're right. Sashiro was trying to mitigate Genshi's guilt, so he took to the stand to testify. But he got a little carried away and, actually managed to break the witness stand. He also said some contemptuous words about the British Empire for which he was charged. It was a pitiful situation, yes. I'd forgotten all about it, but I prosecuted that trial too, as it happens. You did? Well, you knew that. It was considered to be an adjunct to the professor's proceedings, you see? But when he was acquitted after being told to make reparation for the damage caused to the stand. And there you have it. Have what? Surely the accused hasn't forgotten his own rule. That there's no saving anyone who faces the Reaper in court, guilty or innocent alike. What? No! Are you suggesting that the reason Judge Jigoku was targeted for assassination? The man was sent back to Japan immediately after that trial. The Reaper had no time to do his work. But then, 10 years later, the mark returns to Britain once more. You would think it's for that. Come on. Perhaps now you start to see just how vindictive the Reaper is. Gina's standing right there. Come on, that's absurd. Take someone's life for that? Isn't the whole premise of the Reaper absurd, killing those who have been found innocent? Clearly the rules by which the man operates are beyond a sane person's comprehension. Nah, there's just a motive we're not 100% clear on. But honest, the boss didn't do none of it. He's just investigating the Reaper, that's all. Alright, I guess we'll go around and get the other two as well, but we'll start here. So you have complete faith that Inspector Gregson is innocent in all of this? Of course I do, I mean... I owe him that, don't I? Because he's the one that had faith in me. Gina. Boss promised me he did. He promised me that even though I was just a diver, he could turn me into a proper top-notch detective. A cove with a good heart, I ain't gonna go and rob people of their futures, is he? Every single person killed by the Reaper was a criminal of the first order. Lowlifes like that have no compunction about robbing hundreds of others of their futures. Eh? Their ludicrous acquittals in court give them their freedom to make hundreds more suffer. I don't... So what? You justified your actions because you were protecting innocent people's futures? I'm not suggesting that the Reaper's methods are justified at all. But life isn't black and white. That's all I'm saying. Oh, poor Gina. So that's what we have to work with. There's still two more to investigate there, though. It may help us that Lord Van Zyx is in the stand, too. Yes, perhaps. I'm sure Gina knows nothing she hasn't already told us. There's no point trying to get more out of her. Did you notice how Kazuma-sama reacted to Lord Van Zyx's words? When he called him an even more sinister Reaper, you mean? Well, I'm sure Kazuma intends to eliminate any shred of doubt that the man is guilty. He's looking for revenge against the person he considers to be his father's killer, after all. I do worry that if we fail to find a discrepancy in this testimony somewhere, the trial may end, and adjudication won't go in our favor. Let's listen carefully again to what everybody is saying. Yeah, those last two, like we come at those last two. Like, so we did that, and we didn't do the next one, because I'm just very much like in that mindset of like, we've already done it,
Hold it!
Well, we already know the details, but maybe there's something else then. Names of victims, dates, places, and stuff. What in particular? Well, besides the victims' names, this other name kept cropping up. What other name was that? It's the one I told you yesterday. Same name written over and over again. You mean... Assassin? Yeah, that's the one. She's a friend of yours or something, isn't she? Were you even listening yesterday? Assassin. The assassin. What? Like, a killer, you mean? Gregson was the tactician, the one who came up with the plan of attack. He investigated the marks thoroughly, finding out when they would be vulnerable and who to use to get at them. But the person actually executing his plan was someone else, you're saying? If that's true, then the Reaper does indeed start to sound like an organized group of vigilantes. Ah, then perhaps what it said on the passport document. Permission for the applicant and one additional person to travel. Could that additional person have been clearly the assassin who was meant to take Sashiro Jigoku's life? China, can you confirm that? Against the final entry that listed Grouse and Sashiro Jigoku? What name was written? Oh, well, that's the only entry that didn't have a name next to it as it happens. What? It just had like a question mark or something there, I think. In other words, Gregson himself didn't know the identity of the assassin in that case. But Gregson was the one making the plans, was he not? Oh, how infuriating. A nameless assassin. It said Grouse for the place on the date and then the name of the mark.
Hold it!
And you're saying that the mark listed was Sashiro Jigoku? That's what he said. Funny name if you ask me. And I thought your name was odd. So pleased to have lost my crown there. Mr. Jigoku is the presiding judge of Japan's Supreme Court of Judicature. I remember the man. He came to our country as a visiting student 16 years ago, studying international law and diplomacy under your tutelage, Lord Strongheart. That bearded young fellow was a very able man, I must say. So Lord Strongheart was Judge Jigoku's mentor. If I'm not mistaken, he returned to Japan 10 years ago now. 10 years ago, after that fateful case. Precisely. In the aftermath of the Professor case, his repatriation was organized immediately. It's a mystery why such a man would be listed in the inspector's notebook. I didn't think it was possible, but the mood in here's got even worse now. Maybe I'll just keep talking. Oh, hello. Right, I've had just about enough of this. Gina? All this nonsense about the boss planning to kill people. It's cobblers. Come on, Odo. Yes? Why ain't you saying nothing? Why aren't you yelling out objection or something? What? You gotta find a flaw. You do usually. Someone's lying here, no question. You gotta work out who it is. Please, for the boss. For the boss, yeah. That outburst was an insult to the court and to your own testimony. I might have known that a common pickpocket from the back slums couldn't make a detective. When this trial is over, you will forfeit your warrant card, Miss Lestrade. Is that clear? Oh. I've had it with you lot. It lies every bleeding place you look in this world, innit? Well, I've had enough. Gina. So have I. After that little speech of Gina's, I've made up my mind. To do what, Mr. Naruhodo? There was one point in this cross-examination when something that was said just didn't sit right with me. One statement that seemed odd. Oh, do you mean... I'm not going to let Gina's plea for help fall on deaf ears. What? Come on, Odo, help. You gotta find a flaw somewhere. That's new, isn't it? Isn't it? If so, we'll be pressing on that in the next part. Ta-da for now! Sorry, cliffhanger. It happens!